Okay, so we'll be looking at privacy, consent, and data rights, and this is a very, very interesting area. In this area, we are going to look at when you decide to click I agree and I accept when downloading any software, what actual rights or what kind of sense of right is the software developers giving to you to feel that you own rights to your data. So what actually is privacy? Privacy is the right of individuals to control information about themselves. Under data, we are saying that privacy helps you to determine what is collected, by whom, for what purpose, and how data collected about you is shared. I actually subdivide it into three. We have the rights-based model, we have the contextual integrity, and we have what we call the market or the consent model of privacy. When we are referring to the rights-based model, we are looking at the legal and the ethical pattern where we say privacy is actually a fundamental human right. Yes, one of the fundamental human rights is a right to privacy. I have the right to be private. I have the right to safeguard my personal information. You don't have to force me to divulge what I don't want to divulge. So privacy cannot be waived by clicking agree. Let's note that by clicking agree under T and C means terms and condition. By clicking the agree button, it does not mean that you are waiving your privacy no matter what is written on that terms and condition document. We'll look at that as we proceed. Privacy requires that you have free choice and you are protected regardless of convenience or commercial interest. Now let's look at the contextual integrity. Privacy is respected when information flow matches the norm of the context in which it was shared. Remember what we looked at last week, the Facebook issue by the Cambridge body. Users were invited on Facebook to play a quiz, and by signing up to the quiz, you are now asked to provide your personal details, including your state, your residence, your locality, your phone number, your GPS coordinates, and all of that. What they were not told is that their information will be used for campaign and for targeted reach of adverts. They were not told that. So under contextual integrity, we are saying that information flow must match the context in which it was shared. If you need my details for a game which I'm about to play, the information flow should just relate to what I actually need in order to partake in that game. The next example, medical data shared with a doctor should under no circumstance flow to an employer even with consent. This is where we say that even when you click I agree, or by you visiting a medical center does not give a nurse a right to know your health status when they are not meant to know it. And it's very important you know your rights. That's why we are talking about data. If you don't know this, you would assume that by mere fact you visit a health facility, by mere fact you gave your blood, by mere fact you ran a test, you would assume that it is normal for every staff or employee of that medical center to know your health status. It is not normal. Even if you fill a form that you agree to share your information, and by partaking in this test and all of that, the health facility has your information, it is not normal that the information should flow to those that don't have right to use that your information. Now we look at the market or the consent model. Under that model, we see that privacy is a preference that individuals trade off against services and convenience, meaning that people can consent to data collection in exchange for benefits. You are now taking your privacy as transactional. But in reality, we would always say that that exchange is actually exploitative in nature. We are going to watch a video about WhatsApp in relating to the consent model. Yes, you must use a service. And for you to use my service, you are consenting to fill a form or give me your information. But the issue is this: do I actually have rights? Do I have a choice? I want to use WhatsApp. I want to use Facebook to chat. And using WhatsApp and Facebook is going to ease my flow of communication. But WhatsApp is asking me to click I agree that my information will be shared by parties relating to the Meta organization. Meaning that, let's look at this. Like I told us in last class, once you are chatting on WhatsApp, you'll be shocked that whatever conversation you're having with any other person, you suddenly go to your Facebook, all the advert you are seeing on Facebook is relating to what you are chatting on WhatsApp. Yet WhatsApp is telling you that your conversation is end-to-end encrypted. While preparing for this course, I was reviewing it with a colleague at work today. So he asked me, when you're talking about privacy of data, but my WhatsApp tells me that my chat is encrypted end to end. So why is it that my chat is shared from WhatsApp to Instagram, Instagram to Facebook, and all the apps controlled? In fact, let me tell us this. When you hear that Meta is building an AI model, where do you think they are getting their data to train the AI model? The data is gotten from your day-to-day chats. Their data is gotten from your Facebook messages. Your data is gotten from your communication. Let's even leave WhatsApp. Let's go to Google. Remember, I told us that this is a very interesting area. Let's look at Google. I was in a class where I was told to explain how exactly do Google Maps gain their accuracy. I think I'll throw this question to the class. Someone should help us. How do you think Google Maps actually gain their accuracy in directing every one of us to our locations? Can we discuss this? How do you think Google Map gain the accuracy level to the extent you put any location, once Google Map tell you you are here, you don't doubt, you just assume that the map is correct. How do you think they gain the accuracy? Let's discuss this. Please, I want those who have not spoken in class. We have Peter, I have Queen, I have Sophia, I have Charity, I have Evelyn, and some other people. So if you have not spoken in class, please let's interact. How do you think Google Maps gain their accuracy level in directing us? The floor is open. Peter, are you there? Peter Fondo, are you there? Are you with us? Okay, Sophia. Hello, Sophia.
Yes, doctor.
Okay, please, did you get her question? Would you wish to attempt it?
Can you repeat the question, doctor?
Okay, the question is this. How do you think Google Map gets its accuracy? You use Google Map, right?
No, doctor.
Sorry?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, so how do you think Google Maps helps you to get to your location? Can you share it with us? Okay, let's take Queen, are you in class? Okay, could you help us attempt the question? Okay. Can any other person help us? So anyone could assist us. How do you think Google Map gained the accuracy level? In fact, someone asked me, is it that Google have cameras all over the world? Do they have satellites all over the world that keep mapping every street as soon as the street is open? Someone asked me that question because Google Map now has what we call street views. So someone asked me that. Could someone attempt it? How do you think Google Maps become so accurate? Okay. Remember, Google don't own towers in your locality. Okay, I think you are close. Let me just explain that. So I'll be making reference to what we are discussing data privacy, about data privacy. Now, remember, once you are using an Android phone, Android is built by Google. Once you own a Gmail, in fact, the email we are using currently by the university is being hosted by Google. You are on YouTube watching videos, YouTube is owned by Google. You are on your calendar, you are on your Google Chrome, it is owned by Google. All the information you are sharing, Google is telling you, just like WhatsApp, your information is encrypted end to end. What do they mean by encrypted end to end? You may be thinking that your information lies with you. The answer is yes and no. It is encrypted end to end in the sense that probably it does not get outside Google's premises, but it is shared amongst Google services. So if I put on my map, I want to go to Bole International Airport, Addis Ababa, and I know the place, right? If the map takes me somewhere else, Google Map usually asks a question. Did we get you to the right place, yes or no? I will click on no. Maybe I will then open the map and point out the exact place. Once I point it out, Google Map has noted it, that is the location. How do Google Map get to know that there's traffic in a particular location? Everybody in that location that is signed into Gmail. Remember, most of our devices now, we unintentionally turn on our location because most of the apps we are using usually prompt us turn on location access, and you turn it on. As you turn it on, location access is linked to your Gmail, linked to your YouTube, linked to your Google, linked to Chrome, linked to everything you are doing with respect to Google. So if you are in a fixed location and you are not mobile, and you are not moving, you are not in motion, Google assumes if it sees everybody around that area based on Google Apps activity that is being used and based on the GPS signal from that device, Google now assumes that there is a traffic in that location, and it now translates those information to others that are coming towards those locations. There is a red line traffic in this area. Consider taking alternative routes. That is the same principle WhatsApp operates on. Yes, your chats are encrypted end to end, but your chat and your communication key details may be shared among Facebook associated platforms. That is why we now ask the question, why then is my consent sought for when in reality you will still use my information against my reach. That means at that point, the consent is being exploitative, because I need to say yes in order to use your chat service. If I don't say yes, you don't give me access. If I say yes, it means that I have exposed some of my data to be used. Now, what makes consent genuinely informed? We talk about informed consent. What makes consent to be genuinely informed? Valid consent must be freely given, number one. It must be specific. You don't have to give me a whole 10-page document and expect me to go and read everything and click I agree. Of course, I won't be able to read the entire 10 pages. I will end up clicking I agree, because you are putting me in a trap of acceptance, which I must accept. Valid consent must be specific, must be informed, must be unambiguous, and it must be revocable at any time without losing critical activities and without losing critical rights. I should be able to revoke my consent to you getting access to information without you disabling my ability to chat with my friends and family. How does most consent mechanisms fail? Number one, you have boxes that have been pre-ticked. You just assume while filling the form, instead of allowing me to tick I agree or I disagree, you take the tick box and put I agree by default. Software developers, managers, you have to note this. When your organization is designing any online form, please always insist and inform your team. Leave the checkboxes for agree or disagree. Leave it by default on none of the choices. Users should be able to tick I agree or I disagree on their own accord. Don't be suggestive. Don't say if I don't pre-tick this box, they may not be able to submit this form successfully. What if I leave it on I disagree default and I needed agree? You could be sued. Why most consent mechanism fails? Because there are too many complexities, too many words. You don't give users a choice. Take it or you leave it. If you don't agree, you lose access to essential services. Consent must be unambiguous. What rights do individuals have over their data? We are meant to have rights to access. You are meant to be able to request a copy of all personal data held about you. Yes, you are meant to be able to send an email to Facebook, to WhatsApp. Your clients are meant to send an email to you requesting you to provide all access you have regarding their personal information, and you shouldn't hide any of their data. You shouldn't hide any of their data. You shouldn't hide any of their data. Subjects should have right to request correction of inaccurate or incomplete personal data without delay. Your client should have right to delete their data. The right to be forgotten should be the decision of the client. If I go to Facebook and I said I don't want Facebook to hold I want to shut down my Facebook account, Facebook should not store my information and assume that I may want to come back to use my account, and when coming back they now have to back up my information and restore it the way I left it. No. If I want to stay off Facebook, if I want to stay off Gmail, I should have the right to tick that my personal data should be completely deleted from your platform. I should have the right to receive all my information in a readable format, and I should be able to transfer it to any service provider of my choice. I should also have the right to tell any marketing agency that holds my data, such as Facebook and WhatsApp, don't use my data for direct marketing. Don't use my data for research. I should be able to tell the health organization, my HMO providers, I should be able to tell my doctor, Yes, you are my doctor treating me. I have headache type 3. Maybe you discover that my headache is a new variety of headache that just enters the market. That is my headaches, and it is a new form. You have never seen it. I should have the right to tell you, yes, you have found it. I am paying you to treat me, but I don't want you to use me as a subject of research. I don't want you to use me as an example when making a presentation amongst other doctors. I should have the right to object to that. When an automated decision affects me, I should have the right to get a meaningful explanation to that. Now we are going to look at a case study that has to do with WhatsApp. WhatsApp privacy policy. Now, what do we want to learn about this case study?
I'll be able to. Now at home, I came home now. Me and my sisters were even arguing.
So looking at WhatsApp, we want to look at in January 2021, WhatsApp notified 2 billion users of a new privacy policy requiring them to share their data with Meta or lose access to WhatsApp. Why should that be? Users were given a take it or leave it choice without a deadline. That is a consent problem already, because this violates multiple elements of a valid consent. It was not freely given. It was not specific. In fact, WhatsApp did not specify what data will be shared. They didn't specify that. They just said your data will be shared among third party. Now, which of my data? Are you not telling me that as I'm chatting with my family, as I'm chatting privately, or as I'm making an audio call with WhatsApp, are you saying that you're eavesdropping on my information? It was not clear. It was not clear. The regulatory response, the Irish Data Protection Commission, they fined Meta 225 million euros. WhatsApp was forced to rewrite its privacy notices to be clearer. A lot of countries banned the updates. India as a country opened a separate investigation. The third world countries who had no privacy rules, they simply ignored it. The governance lesson. A 220 million fine and global reputational damage resulted from a consent mechanism that prioritized business convenience over user rights. WhatsApp and Facebook is a marketing firm, and they get their revenue through advertisements. So their business convenience is that using people's data, they want to be able to promote ease of targeted marketing, but must it be at the detriment to their users' rights? No. The failure was in WhatsApp not applying privacy policies to their product decision. What is our key lesson from there? Governance frameworks only protect people when applied to product and business decisions. Before we conclude, let's watch the video. Is just a 1 minute video. Let's just watch that 1 minute video. Okay. So welcome back. So can we share our thoughts on this? Remember, I told us that this is a very, very controversial topic. Informed consent. Informed consent. Informed consent when relating to WhatsApp. Can we just share our thoughts before we end the class for today? Let's share our thoughts on privacy relating to business model, relating to exploiting clients and customers, leaving them with no choice. Let's share our thoughts on this. So the floor is open. The floor is open. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so can I assume that you indirectly support them, since probably they're giving you a free service in exchange for you being used as a test for their services? Could I assume that that's what you imply? Okay. Thank you very much. So, any other person willing to share? Any other person? Charity Steven. Hello, Charity Steven. Okay. So thank you very much. So I believe we have all enjoyed the class for today. Most importantly, our take home, our take home. Governance policy, data governance is actually a system of people policies, process, and technology. Let's take note of that. Data governance is not a software tool or a project, because that is a common misconception that data governance, when we are talking about data governance, people simply call on the software developers, give us the tool. No, data governance starts from people, policies, processes, and technology. We have several frameworks that approach data governance differently. The right choice depends on the context being used by the organization. Now, privacy is not just a legal requirement, it is a fundamental right grounded in autonomy and human dignity, so it must be respected. Another take home: most real world consent mechanisms fail multiple times because of elements of valid consent. Data subject rights, what are the rights? Rights to access, right to correction, deletion, portability, and explanation are the practical enforcement mechanisms of privacy. Finally, I showed us the WhatsApp case that shows that governance failure is not actually an IT problem. No, governance failure is actually a business decision problem that requires leadership accountability. During the week, please watch the video again. The videos are already there. Watch the recording of this class, read the instructional materials, and actively participate in the discussional forum. Do your reflective journal. The reflective journal is scored and graded, and also your week 2 quiz. And all this will be due on Tuesday. Please, it will be due on Tuesday, not on Sunday. We assume Wednesday as the start of our week. So all the assignments will now be due on Tuesday, which is the 14th of April. Tuesday, the 14th of April, 11:59 p.m. GMT. Please, before we close, do we have any question? Any question for me from the class? Okay. So thank you very much for partaking in the class, and until... Okay, yeah, go on, go ahead, please, go ahead.